We're here at the Williamsport Municipal Water and Sanitary Authority, and we are with Mrs. Wendy Walter, mother of Laura Walter, one of your very lovely classmates. So, Mrs. Walter, can you please tell us...
Oh, please call me Wendy.
Okay, Wendy. What is the job of the Municipal Water and Sanitary Authority? So what do you guys do?
Well, Alyssa, that's a great question. Here at the Water Authority, we treat drinking water to clean water standards to distribute it to about 51,000 customers. It's a very important job. Sometimes people take it for granted, but our services are always there. We provide about 6 million gallons a day of drinking water from 2 surface impoundments. We also have 9 groundwater wells that we use as a backup supply, and we use those in conjunction to supply really high quality water for both residential and for industrial use.
All right, excellent. And what is your job here? What do you do as part of the...
Well, I've been here for 19 years. I'm the compliance manager, and my department is comprised of 2 kind of separate segments. We have a quality manager, and her job is to run our in-house certified laboratory where we run most of the tests that we have to show that we comply with the clean water standards and with our permitting on the sanitary side. So we have 3 full-time lab technicians, and we run 7 days a week, 365 days a year to make sure that the water that people are drinking is safe. We also have another part of the department that works on industrial sanitary pre-treatment issues, where we have a field services officer that works just on collection system issues. We have the manager of that department who oversees all the industrial pre-treatment and all the wastewater reporting needs, and they, amongst the 2 of them, have 2 field technicians who go out day in and day out and collect samples for the lab to analyze.
So clearly, clean drinking water is extremely important. I mean, that's one of the vital resources that should be available to people. So that's excellent that you guys put all your time and effort into that. So what are some of the sustainability initiatives or measures that you guys have here in this office or throughout your complexes?
Sure, Alyssa. I think if you look at it from 1,000 feet, the whole idea of treating water for people to consume and use, and then collecting it and treating it at a wastewater treatment plant to return that clean water to the watershed is kind of by definition sustainability. So the whole concept of clean water, cleaning up the wastewater and distributing it back into the streams is our primary objective. Within the administrative office here, we do a couple things that to follow sustainability. We use recycled paper for all of our Xeroxing. We use recycled envelopes. Have a kind of a different texture, but we're kind of getting used to it now. Interestingly, those envelopes are the same cost as the non-recyclables, but we have chosen as a group to use the recycled ones. Another interesting thing that one of the girls here in the office did was put a sign at all the Xerox machines that says, "Are you sure you need a copy?" So, you know, you kind of think twice before, do I really need to make 500 copies of something?
Dr. Zim.
Another measure we've really just started on and been getting very comfortable with is now that our Xerox machine, we can PDF things. We PDF manuals and things and save those to files so that we don't have to copy large manuals and give copies to everybody. We store those electronically so people can just open it up if they need to print 1 or 2 pages. They can do that. Those are the things we do here at the office. Recently we've been in the midst of a $120 million sewage upgrade project, and that's really given us some opportunities to spend money wisely and to look at sustainable issues there. Some of the things we've done at the central plant, design-wise, we've taken, pumps. When we look at purchasing pumps, we've been moving towards variable speed pumps, which allow you to use just the amount of energy you need to deliver just what you need. Older pumps, they're either all on or they're all off, and they can be very wasteful. Mm-hmm. So where we can, we've been moving to those types of pumps. Another thing we do, the design of the admin building and the solids handling building is such that it'll face south, and during regular daylight hours it shouldn't need any artificial lighting, so long as it's a nice nice enough day out
Mm-hmm.
to provide ample lighting for all the activities that will go in there. So that was kind of important to us. Other aspects we looked at were finishes that were either made out of recyclable materials or wouldn't require a lot of maintenance throughout a 20-year life cycle, like we need painted and a lot of maintenance type issues. Another really important one when you think about sewage plants, we digest sewage sludge, and that process produces methane gas. And if you go by a lot of sewage plants, you may see what we call flaring off of the gas to get rid of that extra gas that's been produced by the bugs. But here, the first step that we're taking is to put in equipment and to evaluate what we produce. And once we can meter and measure that and get a good idea of what we actually produce there, we're going to look at ways that we can use that to run pumps or heat our buildings or do things like to use that beneficially rather than just flare it off as a gas.
Excellent. So clearly these measures are helping the environment and the local community, but will you, from a business point of view, will you be seeing returns on your investments, or are any of these measures saving you money?
Definitely. Specifically the methane gas will save us money, the lighting will save us money. Also, it's a great opportunity. There are grants for those types of projects, so as we identify them, we apply for grants to have them funded, which really helps the cost measures.
Excellent. So right now the Water Authority is in the midst of Water and Sanitary Authority, is in the midst of adding on and pretty much renovating the existing water treatment plant that is down by the river. So can you maybe explain why you're doing this and some of the changes that you're making?
Sure, Alyssa, I'd be happy to. Back in about 1990, some federal regulations started to come to the surface, specifically with regard to wet weather and what we call the Chesapeake Bay Initiative. First, I'll tell you a little bit about the wet weather stuff. Williamsport, like a lot of the cities in northeastern United States, is a very old system. It's a community of about 51,000 people. But back in the 1950s and prior to that, there were basically 4 pipes, and the pipes went to the river, and that's how most sewage plants at that point in time were built. In 1955, 1957 time period, Williamsport built 2 plants, what we call the West and the Central plant, and basically we intercepted those 4 pipes and built sewage collection pipes to go to both plants. Plants were then upgraded in 1973. Those original overflow points, though, remained in the system because the plants were only built normally to treat normal daily flow, not the high peak flow. For instance, at our central plant, an average day when it's not raining might be 4 or 5 million gallons a day. When it rains, it's in excess of 21 million gallons. So EPA identified this across the nation as a real problem. So we're not allowed to discharge as much through these pipes as we used to, and what we do discharge has to meet clean water standards. So that happened in the 90s, and they were really coming to put all those regulations together. At the same time, they identified the Chesapeake Bay as being in distress, and that sewage plants upstream of that were discharging large amounts of nitrogen and phosphorus, and that was contributing to problems in the bay. So 6 states signed a compact and became what we now know as the Chesapeake Bay Initiative. So if you think about these 2 regulations coming to play at the same time, wet weather said, you got to treat more flow. You can't discharge it without it being treated. And the idea behind treating for nitrogen and phosphorus are to slow down your process so that you can treat it to better standards. And so it was like slow down the flow, treat more. Like those are opposing kind of viewpoints. So we got the engineering firm of Malcolm Purney to come in and look at the sites we had, which were really limited size-wise, and decide what we could do. They came up with a plan basically to address wet weather. We built a 2 million gallon wet weather storage tank, and the idea here is it will collect the majority of the really small storms, and it'll also collect the first flush, we call it, which is the real nastier stuff. It'll have more of the pollutants in it. And then it'll be held in the tank until such a time when the flows go down and we can drain that tank into the plant. There'll be some times, however, where this tank isn't big enough and those existing overflows will still be activated. But we will get a vast majority of the storms there. The rest of the work, as you can kind of maybe see in this thing, in this picture here is the existing plant from here back. We purchased 2 properties here to put the tank and the new headworks building. So this whole project is basically 5 contracts. 1 was demolition of the buildings, 2 was creating the tank, the 3rd contract was to buy what we call denitrification filters for treating for nitrogen. The 4th contract is probably our largest, and it's all the work out in front of the old plant. So we have contract 4, which has 4 contractors on site doing all the work to create the denitrification building, the new administration building, and 4 clarifiers and a new chlorine contact tank. All the stuff that'll be up front of the old plant. And that's going on right now. At the same time these 4 contractors are working, we now have contract 5, which is in the existing plant, reworking these tanks so that we can control the DO and the conditions so that we can select the bacteria we want that will treat for nitrogen. So we have 4 more contractors back here. So we have 8 major contractors on this very little site as we try to also keep the plant running and get employees in and out and do our day-to-day business. So it's a very challenging project. It's also on a very tight schedule because we have a consent decree with the federal government to get it completed by September of 2012, which is vastly urgent. So yes.
Well, it appears that you guys are making excellent progress, and the community and the environment will only benefit in the long run. So thank you for taking the time out and talking. I should also thank you for helping us with the environmental audit, with helping us with the water data, and you're extremely helpful with getting that together for us. And also, Wendy is a LICO alum. Yay! So yet another field trip or field report that features a LICO alum very successful in the field of the environment and sustainability. So thank you very much for interviewing.
Great. Thank you for taking the time to
Thank you very much.
Yes.